Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, the football team went down to the Bluegrass State for a matchup against the Hilltoppers.
And the men's soccer team got back into the groove on the road. We have our very own Ta Lau in the studio to tell you all about it. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Hank Joseph.
And I'm Giselle Marsteller.
IU football went on the road to Western Kentucky last Saturday and narrowly escaped with the win. IUS TV's own Noah Harrison and Will Trubshaw broke down the nail-biting bounce-back win.
What's going on, everyone? Will Trubshaw and Noah Harrison here at Memorial Stadium, home of the victorious Indiana Hoosiers. They won last night 33-31 over the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers down in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I mean, no, that was a pretty exciting game, maybe a little more nerve-wracking for Indiana as they barely pulled it out against a sneaky good Western Kentucky team.
Oh, for sure. Not their cleanest game by any margin, but very good things from IU. Specifically, Michael Penix finally coming to his own this season. He had 373 passing yards, the most that we've seen from him this season. Very encouraging for IU's offense.
Indeed, Penix really thrown out there, and also couple other encouraging things too. No interceptions, and he found his number one target, Ty Freifogel. Freifogel finished with 98 yards receiving on the day as well, so the offense certainly looked more in rhythm, and Stephen Carr, once again, over 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Monster game for him, and Tom Allen, after the game, just talked about his pleasure with the team's performance and their ability to get a tough win on the road.
Well, I tell you what, I'm just so proud of this team, and tough place to play. I knew it was going to be. I knew they were good.
And one thing that does need shoring up, though, for Indiana coming out of this game, the defense. They didn't really look sharp against Western Kentucky, and admittedly, the Hilltoppers have the best passing offense in the country. One guy who was definitely on his game, Micah McFadden.
Oh, yes. He seemed to be the only one that was able to really stop that super fast Hilltopper offense. 12 tackles, 8 of those all on his own. But the rest of them, like you said, will have to help him out if they're going to be successful for the rest of the season.
It's definitely pretty difficult, and it puts a lot of stress on a defense when they're going up tempo like that. So, we knew they would get into that, and we knew that was their thing. So, we got to be better prepared for it.
Yeah, and again, the Hoosiers on the road next week as well. That's an October 2nd matchup. We already got October football. They're up in Happy Valley taking on a top 10 Penn State team. That is going to be tough. Penn State looking for retribution for last year's upset win here at Memorial Stadium. Noah Harrison, Will Trubshaw will have you covered. Ryan Scott will have you covered as well. We'll be sure to follow us and IUS TV Sports for the list on the Hoosiers. Signing off for IUS TV Sports. We'll see you next time.
Tom Allen revealed on Monday that the Hoosiers would be without star wideout DJ Matthews against Penn State. The grad transfer tore his ACL fielding a punt against WKU and will be out for the remainder of the season.
The women's soccer team got back on track in the Big Ten play this past week, defeating both Iowa and Illinois. Our own IU women's soccer beat reporter, Kara Adams, has more.
The Indiana women's soccer team got back on track in Big Ten play this past week with wins over both Iowa and Illinois. In the Iowa game, Anna Bennett got the Hoosiers on the board first early in the first half off of a ball from Jordan Levy. 25 minutes later, Levy had her second assist of the night to junior Paige Weber, who scored her 4th goal of the season. Freshman keeper Jamie Gerstenberg also had her 7th shutout of the season. The Hoosiers took that momentum from Iowa into their game against Illinois this past Sunday. However, the Hoosiers went down early in the first half and didn't get the equalizer until Paige Weber scored in the 64th minute. About 15 minutes later, Melanie Forbes drilled a shot to give the Hoosiers a 2-1 lead.
I don't think there's any team in the country that is more flexible than this team. And that's just the mindset. Is obviously, it's easy to play one system and play that the whole time. And their ability to change in and out, and that last change gave us all the momentum.
Jamie Gerstenberg and Camille Ham both came up big in the last 15 minutes to keep the Fighting Illini off the board. The Hoosiers have now improved to 8-2-1 and will look to keep their winning streak going as they head to Columbus, Ohio to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Kara Adams.
After her performance last week, Paige Weber earned the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. and Jamie Gerstenberg also earned Big Ten Freshman of the Week. The Hoosiers will head to Columbus, Ohio tonight to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State and Indiana are currently tied for 5th in the Big Ten standings, so this is a crucial game for the Hoosiers. The team will then return home on October 3rd to host the number 17 Michigan Wolverines at Bill Armstrong Stadium.
For the men's soccer team, joining us in studio is IUS TV Sports men's soccer beat reporter Ta Lau with an in-depth look at the team's recent success. Ta?
Thanks, Hank. The Indiana men's soccer team won back-to-back games in the Big Ten this past week. The Hoosiers began with a trip to Evanston on Tuesday. Despite the windy conditions and being down a goal early to Northwestern, IU put on a brilliant display in the second half by scoring a brace to complete the comeback. Sam Sarver netted his second collegiate goal with a brilliant lob from outside the box before Herbert Endeley converted his first of the season to finish off a great team counterattacking play. Then on Sunday, Indiana grinded out a 1-0 win at Michigan State. Although the Hoosiers were outshot 16-4, Patrick McDonald's shot off Spencer Glass's corner kick ended up being the odd goal that secured IU the victory. So far this season, Indiana has scored 10 goals. 7 different players have contributed to the Hoosiers' scoring tally. 3 of them, Tommy Mahalik, Sam Sarver, and Patrick McDonald, are in their first year. Also, 7 out of 10 goals scored from inside the 18-yard box. Reigning Mac Herman Trophy runner-up Victor Becerra and All-American defender Spencer Glass will be looking to get themselves on the board this Friday as Indiana welcomes Michigan to Bill Armstrong Stadium. Be sure to follow me and IUS TV Sports for all the latest Indiana men's soccer content. Back to you, Hank.
Thanks, Ta. Over the weekend, the Indiana volleyball team opened up Big Ten play at home. Our own Josh Bodie and Brianna Baylog have the scoop from the 2 matches.
It was an up-and-down weekend for Indiana volleyball, getting one big win against Michigan State and one tough loss against Purdue. The win against Michigan State came first, and it was probably the biggest of the year so far for Indiana. Brianna Edwards talked about the message that it sent to the rest of the Big Ten.
I think it shows everyone that we have it in us, and even though maybe people don't see that from our record in preseason, I think we proved it tonight that we can hang in there, and we're a good volleyball team. We have some really good freshmen, some really good upperclassmen, and we work really well together.
Indiana struggled to close out close sets in the non-conference, but came out victorious in 2 close sets against Michigan State, a team that's pretty even balanced to them. Coach Steve Aird gave the players all the credit for the wins.
Players make plays. They were phenomenal. I think, I think when we don't have a lot of success, sometimes as a coach, I could have been better in some of those matches pulling the strings, but tonight it was about them.
On Sunday, Indiana was outmatched by Purdue in a sweep. Aird blames himself for the flat energy and the flat game, but he wants to give fans a reason to come back because the atmosphere was great.
When we play that flat and not that well, I think it falls on my shoulders. I've got to get the team ready to roll. I've got to get them up for the event.
This is Indiana's 18th straight loss to Purdue. The last time the Hoosiers beat the Boilermakers was in 2012. Coach Aird says that they are better than how they played, and the next step for them is to play consistently at a higher level. This week's matches are on Wednesday and Saturday. On Wednesday, they'll be facing the number 8 Ohio State, and on Saturday, they will face the number 14 Penn State. Follow along for updates at IUS TV Sports on Twitter, and for IUS TV Sports, alongside Josh Bodie, I'm Brianna Baylog.
Follow along with Josh and Brianna for updates on this week's games and the rest of the Big Ten season.
Coming up after the break, we'll present the IUS TV Sports Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And we've got more to come from men's golf, women's tennis, field hockey, and more. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
With another week of action in the books, let's hand it over to Riley Woodall with this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week. Riley?
Thanks, Hank and Giselle. This week's IUS TV Sports Athlete of the Week is men's golfer Drew Salyers. The sophomore out of Howard, Ohio, was named the Big Ten Golfer of the Week last Wednesday, making this the second time in just 3 weeks that Salyers has achieved that title. Salyers shot a .209 at the Fighting Illini Invitational with a score of 69 in the third round, which marks his 4th round under 70 this season. Salyers ultimately tied for 5th place, earning him a top 10 finish for the second time this season, and helping the Hoosiers place 6th in one of the toughest college golf tournaments in the country. Salyers also won the Hoosier Collegiate Invitational season opener, becoming the first Hoosier to win a match play tournament since October 2017, when Brendan Doyle tied for 1st place at the Wyndon Memorial Classic. Salyers and the number 21 ranked Hoosiers will hit the Purdue Fall Invitational on Monday, October 11th and Tuesday, October 12th, looking to bounce back after a 10th place finish at the Wyndon Memorial Classic. Tune into Big Ten Network to catch your IU men's golf team in action. Hank, Giselle, back to you.
The men's golf team placed 10th in the Wyndon Memorial Classic at the Lakeshore Country Club in Glencoe, Illinois. The Hoosiers were led by junior Noah Gillard and sophomore Clay Merchant, who both finished at 2 under and tied for 16th overall. It was a disappointing performance after a hot start to the year, yet the Hoosiers still remain as the top-ranked Big Ten team according to Golf Week. The 20th ranked Hoosiers will look to get back on track 2 weeks from now when they head up to West Lafayette to compete in the Purdue Fall Invitational.
Last weekend, the IU women's tennis team hosted the Hoosier Classic here in Bloomington against Western Michigan, Marquette, and Middle Tennessee. The Hoosiers fared well in the singles, going 8-4 as a team, with freshman Lara Schneider defeating all of her opponents to go 3-0. In the doubles, the Hoosier went 5-3 as a team, as Schneider and Majak finished with a record of 3-1 for the weekend. The Hoosiers have some time off before they go on the road next to Cincinnati Xavier Fall Invitational, which takes place October 8th through 10th.
The women's field hockey team faced off against the number 9 Maryland Terrapins last weekend. IUS TV Sports field hockey beat reporter Kara Martin has the recap.
The Indiana Hoosiers women's field hockey team fell Friday 2-8 to the Maryland Terrapins. IU started off strong both the first and second half, with a goal in the first half by Jemima Cookson and a goal at the start of the second half by Kennedy Reardon. However, the efforts by the Hoosiers weren't quite strong enough, as players like Hope Rose of the Maryland Terrapins played a much stronger game. From IUS TV, I'm Kara Martin.
The field hockey team will have some tough matches this weekend as they will take on number 8 Penn State and number 6 Rutgers.
Both Hoosier cross-country teams will be back in action this Friday for the Joe Piane Invitational in South Bend, Indiana, where over 50 teams will be competing in each race. With such a large pool of competition, let's take a look at some of the Hoosiers to keep an eye on this weekend. For the men's team, be sure to keep an eye on senior Keelan Grant, who placed 5th in the Indiana Open and 11th in the recent John McNichols Invitational. Skylar Stidham has some similar success, coming off of a 3rd place finish. He will be looking to carry his momentum into this race. Other names to watch for include Gabriel Sanchez and upperclassman Jake Gebhardt and Ben Miller, both of whom raced in the course in 2019. For the women's team, Mariah Whirl, Lauren Mick, and Michaela Ramirez have all notched top 10 finishes in the first 2 races of the year and will look to do the same in their 3rd. Seniors Anna Barrett and Maddie Dalton will also hope to take advantage of their previous experience in South Bend from 2019 this coming Friday. The races are scheduled to begin at 11 in the morning on Friday. Be sure to follow along at IUS TV Sports for live race updates and race results.
We're now going to hand it over to IUS TV Sports reporter Blake Spillers for the Candy Stripe Calendar Report to get you up to date on everything happening in IU sports this weekend. Blake?
Thanks, Hank. I'm Blake Spillers here to tell you about all things IU sports for the week. Starting off on the courts, the men's tennis team heads to Michigan State for the Droback Beeman Invite, taking place this Friday through Sunday. Men's soccer is hosting Michigan this Friday, looking to extend their Big Ten win streak to 3. Also on Friday, the IU cross-country team travels to South Bend to run in the Joe Piane Invitational. The women's field hockey team looks to pick up their first Big Ten win of the year as they travel to Penn State on Friday. They will also get another opportunity when they travel to play Rutgers this Sunday. On Saturday, the volleyball team will play against a Big Ten opponent in Penn State, where they hope to add to their Big Ten record win column. The football team travels to Beaver Stadium this Saturday in a huge matchup against the 4th-ranked Nittany Lions at 7:30, looking to get their first Big Ten win of the season. On Sunday, the women's soccer team will host Michigan at home, where they'll be looking to continue their 2-game Big Ten win streak. Finally, the IU women's golf team will be hosting the Courtney Cole Invitational right here in Bloomington starting this coming Monday. And that's all the sports going on for this upcoming weekend. Back to you at the desk.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports. For our production crew behind me, I'm Giselle Marsteller.
And I'm Hank Joseph. We'll see you next week.